Welcome back to hashtag us too. Now with a new camera. So this is exciting. We're learning.
I'm Jay Elliott.
I'm SB Ripadanera.
And this is our podcast.
Just chugging water.
So we were talking about porn.
I'm just very... yeah. So... I wish I never talk about, unless I'm talking about it with like a close friend. So it's strange. Well, yeah, okay. So Jay's my best friend, so I'll talk about it with her. But I'm very anti.
Well, I just wanted to say, because I'm trans now, so I don't actually watch trans porn though, because I thought about it. I'm starting to feel weird too, talking about this, but I just, you know what, I'll just cover maybe one base and just say, I've historically been a gay man, so I would watch that, but I still watch it. And the problem for me with trans woman porn or just hetero porn is the noises women make. I can't stand the way those bitches wail.
Yeah, but it's not always realistic.
Because it's fake, right? It's also distracting. I'm like, can you...
I was telling Jay... like a child. I've made more noise during sex because I feel like the guy needs, especially the guys I've been with, they need a lot of reassurance that they're like doing the right thing. So to do that, they're kind of like...
Also, I think guys like it. Like, guys like the sound women, because my brother, I've asked him, I'm like, does that do it for you? Because this is crazy.
They love it.
This sound that girls, whatever they're doing, it's crazy. Like, nobody does that for real. And guys like it.
They love it.
They love wild it. To me. I think it's abominable. Like, I hate the way that women sound.
So I'll do it, it's funny, it's like, at the beginning and the end. Because when you're like, I feel so gross. No, it's fine. Sex is natural.
And we're liberated.
Why are we talking about
I
this?
don't know.
Right before we were talking so confidently about it. And is it thunder? No, it's just a motorcycle. Okay. God is angry at us.
Yeah.
I feel like I'll do it, but look at Gia, so chill. I'll do it before, if my parents ever find this podcast, they're going to be like, why would you tell anyone? So they know that they're, like, on the right way.
Uh-huh. And then you bookend it.
I bookend, yeah. It's like a set. It's like a comedy set, where it's like you do your
strongest
best.
Strongest
Yeah. Beginning and end.
I have to force myself to make any noise at all. Because I think...
That's a little concerning.
Growing up in
this chair is weird.
Like, Christian household, and I was just... My family is very... especially my dad and my little brother. Everybody's so nosy. Like, my dad was in cybersecurity, so I knew whatever porn I was looking at, he was looking at it too. So I would, like, choose porns that were crazy and be like, you like that, Dad? But...
Oh my god! That's horrible.
I guess, like, when I was kind of, like, doing, like, discovering my body as a child, like, I would be very, very quiet the whole, like, I didn't want anyone to know. So now, when I'm with someone else, that's just my default, is to be very, very quiet. And then I've had to, like, try to, like, emote at all.
I mean, I think I do sometimes. Sorry, I'm like nervous that it's a new camera, so I'm not sure if I'm just getting really close to Jay.
But you're in frame.
I think I'm in frame.
Do you want to check?
Can you walk over there and just see if I'm in? I just wanted to sit closer to you.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, okay, cool.
You're good here.
It's like, I don't know if I'm in frame. I I do. Well, sometimes it does feel good, and then I make noise. It's annoying though. Like it was funny because I heard Jessica Kirsten talking about this on her podcast or whatever, but she was saying how she was on like a gay cruise ship, and then at one point they all just went for it, and
like the guys.
Yeah,
it just turned into an orgy.
Yeah, but she was like, they don't like make noise, but she was like, I feel like.
Really?
I'm pretty sure I remember her saying that because I was like, what? But it was like, I feel like straight men need that, like, reassurance.
Yeah, maybe that's like a gay guy thing that...
But I think I've been with a lot of insecure men, so then I have to, like, if I'm not making noise, they're like... But I'm tired of it, honestly. The next guy, I'm quiet.
Quiet as a corpse.
Boys? No.
You?
Gentlemen? No.
No, this is not that kind of podcast.
What have we done? In the first, 5 minutes, we've just ruined. No. But I think that's interesting, though, that they need that. That's kind of crazy. Yeah,
I like just knowing that someone is busy because I want the attention off of me, which doesn't make sense.
What do you mean?
Like if someone's making noise, it shows to me that they're not thinking too hard. They're just kind of doing, and that's good for me, so I can kind of relax.
Yeah, but I don't think you have to be because I'm guys don't normally.
They kind of aspirate,
yeah.
They bring.
So I know that's good enough for me.
Yeah, or they
or they're sweaty.
Yeah. So let's talk about childhood.
That's all. Are we gonna put this out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I kind of wanted to talk about being a kid and being in school. Because I feel like...
And porn.
Yeah, well, back then I wasn't doing that.
Well.
Oh
my god. Sorry.
I just have flashbacks.
This is a dark podcast.
Yeah, it's okay. This is
good.
This is real. This is... Welcome to us.
Hashtag us too. What did you want to talk about though in childhood?
I don't know specifically. What kind of person were you when you were little?
When I was a kid, honestly, I'm not that different from when I was a kid. I don't think. I have always had this strong sense of what was right and wrong. Remember I told you when I was a kid, people that know me very well, I don't know if I've interacted with you out in the world or at an open mic, not my best look. I tend to have on I was talking to Jay about this today, I'm trying to protect my energy desperately. Because we've been through traumatic things, so that's why I come off really hard. But I think if someone gets to know me, they know I'm very nurturing and I want to take care of things and I'm very deeply loving. And I noticed that when I guess I didn't notice. When I was a kid, I was like that though, because I told you, we went to the store and then it was one of the special occasions where my parents were like, pick a toy. And there was this little, mouse toy. It was a wind-up thing. The feet would walk. And then I remember, one of them was broken. And I picked him. And then my parents were like, you don't want that one? Get one that's not broken. I started crying. I was like, yeah, but who's going to take care of him? And they're like, okay, you can take him. But I was just I want to fix broken things. Which is why I have so many failed relationships. But now, yeah, I think I was had a strong sense of right and wrong and was very fiery even then. Compassion, but I would get into fights with kids. I remember knocking a kid over. Okay. Because I had a strong, this is right, this is wrong. And it was weird, too, because, I feel like my family is more liberal now, I guess, or whatever, but I felt like they would be like, boys do this and girls do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were more rules on me because I was a girl, and they're like, oh, certain things aren't as safe for you, which is true, but that shouldn't be like a limitation on what I can do.
Yeah.
And I was like, that pissed me off so much.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I can do everything that a boy does.
Dude, and then that happened to me too. Like, when I was in the store shopping, my sister would like, me and my sister would go to the Barbies, and we'd be like, we want this one. We'd be like, it was the same doll. And then my parents would be like, to me, like, that's fucked up. Like, boys don't like Barbies. Like, what's wrong with you? And then to her, they'd be like, oh, you like her? Like, that's so cute. We'll get it. And I was like, what? We were confused.
Yeah.
We're like, what? Why are we being treated different? But those, like, gender roles are really intense. Especially if your family is, like, ethnic.
We have an ethnic family. But it was very frustrating because, like, I am girly. I was talking to another friend about this where I was like, I feel frustrated sometimes because I feel like people think of me as masculine. Actually, this really upsets me. I was thinking about how I think it was Ali Wong's more recent special, she was talking about how, like, men want a woman that's more, like, subdued and doesn't, and I feel like my ex would get frustrated, like, if I made more money or, like, felt, like, intimidated by me. And the other night I got, like, really sad and anxious. I was like, I am not a pushover or anything. I know what I want. I know how I feel. I'm, like, very much a go-getter about things, but I'm like, are men just really that intimidated by that? Because I feel like they want, like, a submissive lady or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not that at all. And a lot of people have just assumed that I'm gay, like, constantly. They're like, are you a lesbian? I'm like, no. They're like, oh, you're really alpha. And I'm like, that doesn't mean I'm, okay, maybe I am.
Dominated.
Oh my god! Stop! I am tough, but I'm like, I want to be held. Like, I'm, like, also very sweet, and I don't show it a lot, but I'm like...
I can appreciate that as someone who is feminine, but also fully a man. Like, I relate. Because people have different ideas of how I should be. And it's like, just... It's annoying.
It is annoying. I don't know if there is... Gia's so freaking cute. If there's, like, a... I get frustrated because, like, then I was thinking, too, I was like, well, what if I was more subdued? And it's funny because I feel like, especially in romantic relationships, I struggle because I've tried to subdue, and then it comes out later, and it's like...
It's always better to be yourself. I also had this problem with a guy recently where he was really cool, and then he started saying, like, oh, well, like, you look like a woman to me. And I, like, that's all I see you as, but if I ever saw, like, pictures of you before, as a man, like, I wouldn't be able to, like, get that out of my head, and then I think we would have to, like, stop seeing each other. Like,
what a jerk.
He just, like, that he couldn't separate, like, it had to be, like, me 100% woman, and that bothered me, and I didn't know why at first, but then I thought, I like, blocked him, and recently he reached out again, on WhatsApp, because you can use someone's phone number and then find them. So he reached out and he was like, hey, I don't know what happened. And I said, I actually blocked you because I felt like you would make me insecure for being too masculine. And I grew up being judged for being too feminine. I'm not looking for the reverse now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, like, at this point I'm just trying to chill.
Yeah.
So I don't need anybody to judge me for anything like that.
No.
And, so that didn't work out. But also, I think with men too, like, I don't know what it is. Like, with culture, we have these kind of imposed roles and ideals that most people don't fit. Like, everybody's gonna come up against them, and it's not gonna fit them completely. So you have to think, like, I know there's ladies who, like, compromise, or they like, oh, I have to do this, so then men will whatever, and that's their gig, and they find a man, whatever. But I don't know if I'm that willing to go out of my way just for a man.
Well, I'm not, like... Also...
I'm not doing this for men. This is not for men. This is for women. I'm kidding. I hate when people say
Yeah, they do.
when women go out, they get dressed for other women. No, I get dressed for me. I'm getting dressed for me. It's fun to dress like this. I just like looking I like feeling pretty. I don't know if I look like that.
So do I. I think people like looking nice.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
It's not for anybody in particular.
Well, that's the thing too. You like if you are in a relationship though, it is
for them.
No.
In part.
In part, yeah, it's nice, but like what you were saying about you're like I'm not gonna change for someone. It's like yeah, you shouldn't, but there's also
compromise.
A lot of compromise, negotiation, and then I was telling Jay I've been like obsessively listening to all the self-help podcasts ever invented, and
I think that is so impressive because I don't know if I could keep my attention on that for that long.
Well, I told Jay the past couple of months I've been like very focused on my energy. Gia is like listening to me. She's like, "What, Mama?" And I am really like, it feels like urgent for me to get out of bed. Because for a while, and we were saying before, like a few months ago, I was like not getting out of bed. My anxiety was at an all-time high. I've never like had anxiety before. And so then now to combat that, I'm like, you're out of bed, you're listening to Jordan Peterson or Rogan or whoever, whatever. Eric Thomas, my man, yeah. Because I'm telling Jay about him all the time. Like all the motivational speakers. But yeah, they were taught, like, I mean, my parents kind of said this too, because my parents have been together almost 40 years, and they have a lovely relationship. Jay's met them.
Yes,
they're very funny.
Cool.
Yeah.
And they're still like, they found a way to like coexist.
And not even just coexist, like they love each other.
What? Yeah, that is really hard for me to imagine, considering I don't even know my dad.
That's it. Gia, don't. Gia hates when you snap.
She hates it.
She
Look
hates
at her.
Snapping.
That's how you punish her.
My bunny. But there is like Jordan was talking about conflict and how you need to have conflict in order to resolve things. Or else if you don't, it's gonna sit and be, because that's what I was thinking about too, like how does anyone get into a relationship or like a marriage for too long? I'm just gonna move it. You know how like people get married and then they get divorced?
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, I can't see that ever happening.
To you?
To me.
Oh, well, like you wouldn't be able to handle it.
I wouldn't be able to handle it, but I also wonder if, like, I tried with this last relationship, I tried to subdue myself, right? And then my feelings, like, fight out. Like, I can't push down my feelings. Like, I remember...
I'm not good at it either.
Who was it? We were talking, I was talking with Jake and Eli and somebody else. And the other person was like, just chill or something. I don't know who it was. And then, like, Jake was like, she's not going to be able to push it down. Like, it was, like, so funny. They were like, that's not an option for her. Because he was like, just, like, act like nothing's happening. I forget what we were talking about, but they were, like, laughing. They were like, she can't. But I think because my feelings, like, come up.
Well, we're also Latina. They're like, it's part of the culture too. Like, if you feel something, you let them know.
You let them know.
But I had friends who were like whitey white, and if they had a problem, they would like go to their room and then just be quiet for a little.
White friends that just like can't.
Just no confrontation.
They won't, yeah.
And then there's a lot of things left unsaid.
Hey. Sorry, podcast. Gia's being bad. Yeah, come on. Come here. Come here, baby. Go. Anytime.
She's so cute.
She's so cute.
I like that there's animals around.
I know. No, my feelings just come out. People know. And they can read my face.
Oh, they can read my face too, because I got stank face. If I feel a certain way, yeah. I'm like,
stank face bad. I get pissed.
But there's a balance, because you don't want to be confrontational about every little thing, because then you're just causing unnecessary stress. There's always going to be things you disagree on or whatever. And on the other hand, you don't want to be so passive and repressed that you like that communication isn't there, because then stuff festers.
Yeah, I'm not passive at all. I've only just recently learned how to like step away from anger, as we talked about like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm like kind of happy now, because I was thinking about like, I'll get frustrated. I'm like, I have these like failed relationships and I want my guy, but then I'm also like, oh, kind of thank God that you're not submissive, because I feel like if I was, I would just be in a relationship that was just slowly draining me.
A lot of people like stay too long because they don't know how to end it.
Well, because I'm like, I'm not happy. Like, I make it so clear, like, I don't love you anymore. And they're like, oh my God. But I'm like, I can't like lie or like put it down. Okay, so also this is actually pretty funny. So this has happened to me like twice, where it's totally normal and natural to like think someone else is attractive, even with you're like with somebody. But then I would like find a guy attractive, and I would like go to my boyfriend and be like, I'm so sorry, I thought this guy was attractive. And he's like freaking out. He's like, did you do something? I'm like, no. And they're like, why are you telling me this? Like, what? I get so guilty feeling.
They're like, I check out other girls all the time.
Yeah. I'm like, what? Like, I slapped this girl's ass. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I really, my feelings they just come up and out.
I feel like I can repress my feelings, but it doesn't go well.
I don't think it goes well for anyone.
No.
That was, so my uncle passed away, I don't even think a week ago.
Wow.
A few days ago. Yeah,
it feels a while ago, but it wasn't.
It wasn't that long ago. We've been so busy. And he had been drinking his whole life. And then my dad and my other uncle were like, had been trying to help, and were like, well, talk, like, and then my parents would invite him, be like, oh, come see us in Texas, and he just wouldn't. And I think there was a part of me that was like, if he goes, like, he'll probably be more peaceful. Because ever since I've known my uncle when I was a little kid, like, he was always angry. There was always a lot of, like, anger. And I think it probably is best that he passed away. Not to sound, like, negative, but I feel like he wouldn't like face his emotions. He was just so, and then to be that age, to be in your 50s and never deal with your feelings, because it's like I knew they had a traumatic childhood. It just feels like the other two brothers, like my dad's very open with his feelings, and he talks about that And I remember he used to not be open to it, but then over the years he's like learned.
Yeah.
And my uncle, the other uncle's like extreme, where he's like, I'm gonna go meditate for a week straight, and like, what is it, fast or whatever. He does like extreme stuff, and then
the gay one.
No, that's on my mom's side.
Oh, okay.
And so
because for Latinos, there is a very like suffer in silence, masculine kind of.
Oh yeah. So I think that the uncle that passed away, he was like that, where he was that.
And then it's just toxic, like they're very angry.
That's what I told my mother, though. I was like, I feel like I had always felt with him this, like, machismo.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, I'm not going to talk about this. You just man up and, like, move on. And it's like, well, he couldn't move on. And then it started to really affect him mentally, and he, like, wouldn't get out of bed. And then he was drinking all the time, and then now he's dead. And...
Damn.
It's horrible. And I'm like, and he left, like, my cousin, you know, he has a daughter. But I was like...
How old is she? Like, older?
She's a little bit younger than I am.
Okay.
But it was weirdly coincidental with, like, I guess my breakup, because I was like, oh, you can't, like, save people from when they're acting, like when someone's really depressed, or like, I'm always trying to help, you know? So it's like so I feel like with that, it was sort of like, in a way, the universe showing me, like, this is what happened. Even people tried to help him. And I asked my dad, I was like, are you... My dad was like, remember I showed you that text? It was so funny. He, like, texted the group chat, and he was like, oh, he's passed away. We're like, are you okay? And he was like, I'm fine. And we're like, it just happened like a few hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
But then I called him, and he was like, I really am fine. He's like, of course I'm like devastated because my little brother's gone. But, you know, like, I did everything that I could, and you can't, like, life, you just have to keep moving on, and you can't, like, dwell on it. And I think that's what Jordan Peterson says a lot, is like, to be able to live, you are always going to suffer, you're going to be suffering, and to be grateful at the same time is like, that's the way you should try to live your life.
Yeah.
Be grateful in spite of your sufferings.
It's hard.
It is hard. But you can't do anything else, you just have to keep living. Like you said the other day, Jay was joking with me, but she was like, you were like, we're all gonna die at some point. Like, what was that thing you said?
Oh, it was a meme where it was like, suicide is never the answer. You will die, just wait.
Yeah.
And then it was like, hashtag okay. Mental health awareness.
But it's true. Like, there have been times, sorry, I've like felt suicidal, and then...
Sorry?
I'm like, who am I apologizing to? I'm like trying to not trigger. They know it's dark if they're watching.
Well, yeah, I feel like we all have had that kind of low point before. If you haven't, get a life.
Yeah. We're like, who are you?
Like, why aren't you being
Turn this
challenged?
off and go figure it out.
That would actually be healthy.
I was very low, and then, so I remember the first year of college was really tough for me, and this guy tried to rape me, and it was awful, and it like fucked up my whole life. And so then I went abroad the next semester to Mendoza in Argentina, and it was like such a relief to be, I also like, in college still, you're like your first year of college, you want everybody to like you, and like I think people knew about what happened. I felt really ashamed and weird, and like I was drinking a lot, so I wasn't like taking care of myself emotionally at all. So after it had happened, I was like drinking and getting high a lot more than I had before to like deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Argentina the next semester, and that actually I feel like saved me, because I had been having like panic attacks all throughout the summer, and I would like self-soothe by drinking. I was like starting to like sneak alcohol. And then I went to Argentina, and it was like, I was still drinking there, but like, it was such a change, and it was such a shift, and I saw how like Argentinians live. And then I was like, I still had my problems, but I was like, oh, people live differently. Like, you can live differently.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I would remember that. Like, if I was feeling really dark or low, I would be like, oh, like, God, like, let's say you get really low again, you can pack up and leave and go somewhere and, like, take a break. There's options. Like, that's why it was good for me to go to Texas recently, because I was getting really burnt out. And then it's like, oh, you can go somewhere and be quiet, or like go visit family, or go see, like, you can just know that things can be different.
Yeah. Everything, I think sometimes I feel like nothing's ever gonna change, or this is as good as it's gonna get when it's not good. I'm like, it's never gonna get better. But it can.
Well, you forget that too. You mentioned that to me too. Like, sometimes I'll have lower days and I'm like, have I ever been happy? You're like, yeah, you have. Like,
yeah. And you can be again.
And you can be, but sometimes when you get really dark.
Because all you know is now.
It's that tunnel of like dark and pain. And then when you're happy, you're like, oh, I've been happy. This is great.
All we really like can trust is the present. Because, like, even your memories, you're like, was that real?
Memories get distorted, though.
And then with the future, you're like, with the past and the future, it's all like, I don't know, like, let me just believe stuff.
I mean, I know for sure that, like, traumatic memories get distorted so you can deal with them better.
Yeah.
Like, you might remember something in a different kind of way.
Yeah, like people who get molested and they think they were abducted by aliens.
Yeah.
Some of those watching. I have an uncle like that, where he believes that he was abducted by aliens and everyone else is just like, you're molested, dude.
You were Oh my god, it's so bad. We're gonna get canceled. Damn.
It happened.
Wait, so he still doesn't think?
He still thinks he was just seriously, like, abducted by aliens. I don't know the story that well.
Has anyone told him?
Yeah, I'm sure they have.
What if they didn't?
No, they definitely did. Because my family, on that side especially, they're like, Latino. So they'll just, like, tell you to your face, like, dude, you were fucking molested, or whatever.
Sometimes I wonder. Well, Latinos will be in your face about things, but then other times they will push it down, especially, like, the men. So that's why I'm like, maybe you should tell him.
No, he knows. I'm sure he knows. I don't know. I also don't know him that well, so it would be really weird for me to be like...
And call him.
Let's have a chat. You're a strange transgender now niece. Let me tell you how to live. That'd be weird.
I know. I remember... we're gonna have to, like, put a trigger warning on this. So... After
this is real, people.
This is real. So, because I was like, should I not say it? And I'm like, no, we can talk about whatever we want. So when I got raped, who was I telling? They just started laughing. It's not funny. It is funny though.
Someone laughed when you said you were raped?
No, they don't. No. Well, actually, I've had audience members like nervously laugh. I'm like, that's not funny.
Sometimes when we talk about it,
really, we're
like,
laughing.
we were raped. Yeah. Because it's, I don't know, it's dumb.
It's dumb.
It's
illegal. I remember I left, I forget who I was talking to about this. Like, right after it happened, I was, like, shook. And then I remember being like, okay, I have to, like, remember this moment. Like, I was in my car and I was like, this feels really important.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to go to work.
Yeah.
So whoever I was talking to was like, that's funny that you were
freshly raped.
I was freshly raped, and I remember
and you
not to be. This is so dark. I don't even know if I should say it.
What?
I was like bleeding, and then I was like, oh, I have to remember. But it felt important to me to remember because the blood was real. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I was
because it's hard to tell a physical
when
sign
you're
of
with
something
someone
happening.
too that's like gaslighting you and like.
It's good to have like a visual sign.
I needed a physical something mark, like, to be like, no, this happened. Like, I was with this guy, and he was very manipulative, and now that's why I'm extremely, like, cautious of everyone, because he had been so charming, and I was very, like, fragile at the time, and I didn't know, but I was still, like... At that point, I think I was like 2 years sober, and people are like, yeah, you should have your shit together. It's like, no, you're still like emotionally dumb.
2 years sober?
Yeah, I felt like I was like I was really depressed. I wasn't like taking care of myself.
Like sober, or like had you relapsed?
This was sober. I was 2 years sober, but I was incredibly depressed.
Okay.
Probably the first like 5 years of being sober.
Because not drinking doesn't solve all your problems.
When you quit drinking, like, everyone's like, cool, and then they kind of forget about you after a few, like, a month.
You
then
drank
like,
because you had problems to start with.
So
I
had to figure it out, and honestly, for the first 5 years of sobriety, I wasn't happy. It wasn't until, like, the past 2 years that I've discovered I'm not depressed.
Yeah.
So, but I was, like, severely depressed, and I felt like this guy was very much a predator, and, yeah, so then I remember when it happened, I was like, okay, I have to remember this. Because then, for years, I was like, oh, that didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. Wait, how old were you?
This was 4 years ago.
So 23?
I'm 25. I'm 29.
25.
25. So I was still young. But that's why, too, I'm like, wait, 24. I think I was 24.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 5 years. Yeah, it was 24. Because...
It was real.
When did I start comedy? It was like when I started comedy.
Oh, like you started right after?
No.
When I
got
raped recently, it was great for my writing. I'd had some writer's block, and I was like, yes, now I have material.
Oh, no, that's not true. I did not talk about it for years. I told my ex-boyfriend, and he was, like, angry after.
The next one.
Yeah. And then I didn't bring it up, and then I didn't really talk about it, and then I had a hard time. My therapist was like, oh, it did, like, my brain sometimes would be like, oh, that just didn't happen. But then other times I'll have nightmares. So I will have night terrors, like, especially if I start dating someone, like, if I'm intimate with someone new, I'll usually have the dreams again.
You gotta figure out how to trust them for a minute.
I need to, yeah, I can't, like, that's why,
the trauma's, like, in your body.
That's why I can't ever, like, hook up with someone also, like, and I'm very sensitive to touch with new people.
I don't know, like, what was I gonna say? Oh, you remembering this, like, telling yourself, let me remember this.
Mm-hmm.
This is important for me to remember. That reminds me when I was really little, because my dad and my mom, my original dad, broke up when I was, like, 1. And then my stepdad, who adopted me, came into the picture when I was like 2 or 3. So it was not that much of a difference. But I remember being like that young, telling myself, remember this over and over. Because it was important to me. It's weird how you like tell yourself.
Yeah.
I think this is important. You like want to remember it. And then, because my parents were like totally happy letting me believe that my stepdad was my real father, but then I remembered. I was like, who was that other man? That was my real dad. And they were like, fuck. Because you want to, like, the kid to forget the traumatic part, but I remembered it. But you just have to sometimes. It's like important to you.
You remember, yeah. I remember, but I had a very like happy childhood.
Okay, that's where we did. No, my childhood was kind of happy.
I feel like it was mostly happy. And then it started to get frustrating as I got older. And everybody was like, you can't do what boys do. Which I think might be why I'm so, like, driven in comedy. Because I want to be like, no, I don't care.
I can do it
I'm a threat.
That is true as well. Like, if you're a minority, you're like, I need to prove. I have something to prove.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially as, like, a Hispanic female. Like, I'm, like, representing La Raza.
Yeah, as, like, a trans person, I'm, like... It's so hard to find, like, good examples of that. You're like, let me prove to these people that we're not all just, like... Because when I was growing up, too, I was under the impression, like, I was gonna be, like, in jail or drugs or a prostitute. It was like, those are my 3 options. So, the bar, very low.
Oh, my God.
So I went to college and I was like my parents were thrilled. They were like, wow, you actually aren't doing horrible. But I kind of start off with that kind of like, I want to prove that things can actually be okay as a trans person. Hopefully I can do that. Or like rational too. Because people are so like down if they care about you, to go with whatever. But I'm like, I don't even know what transgender means. And we've talked about this. But I'm like, why do I feel this way? I don't know. I don't necessarily need all the answers, but I just think about it.
Well, yeah, you should be.
I had like a happy childhood though, in spite of like, you know, whatever, being molested. I mean, at the time I enjoyed it.
Oh my God.
I like would play outside, and I also ran into the same problem when you're young, when you're little, like you don't have all the rules yet. You can just do whatever. And so I remember, this is what I wanted to talk about. Because last week I went to Victoria's Secret. The first time I went to Victoria's Secret when I was transitioning, it was like I was a full-blown man just going to Victoria's Secret from work. I had like a collared shirt button down. And I went down. I was so nervous. I go and I ask the attendant, I'm like, can I be measured? Because there was something there. Because I'd already started the hormones, but it wasn't much. And she just kind of looked me up and down and like was like, okay. And then she took me in the back and measured, and she was like, there's no cup size. It's literally flat. She was like laughing at me. And she's like, you can just go see if anything works for you, but like...
Oh, that was not nice.
Yeah, she was like super rude. But then this time, I went last week, and they took me seriously, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But they were like, okay, like, we're going to give you options, and then they were like giving me different things to try on. And I was like, oh, and stuff was like fitting, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I tried their biggest cup push-up bra.
I love a good
Yeah, and it was like, they call it bombshell.
Yeah.
So I put it on, and it took me instantly back to being in preschool. We had a ball pit, and I would take them and just put them under my shirt. Like,
the bombshell's too much.
It's
like a lot
insane.
Of padding.
It's insane. Like, it just looks fake. And I just laughed at myself wearing it.
I was like, I'm not doing that. But yeah, the bombshell's insane. I was like, let me just try it. And I was like, Jesus.
But you used to do that stuff as kids. I mean, I would like put them under my shirt like tits, and we would just laugh with my friends. And then I called my friend Hannah, I called her, she was like, I'm a tomboy. And I was like, I'm a tom girl. And that was just how it was. Yeah. That we're like, that's who we are.
Yeah.
And then we would play. And then you get older, and then people are like, no, boys don't do that, girls don't do that.
You're like, that's gay. So annoying. I'm tired of people telling me what I can and can't do. I guess people don't really do it anymore.
It's
but I think it's in my head sometimes. Like I was telling Jay, sometimes I feel this like slight sense of insecurity. I'm really lucky because I feel very respected in the comedy community. But I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to go up a lot and to be the best writer, like the best one in the room, because I'm a lady. So I'm like, I have to get respected. I have to be a little scary because I want. And I also get frustrated. It's funny because I feel like people are like, a lot of people will be like, you're really cool. I want to get to know you, which is very nice. And then it's funny too because I have this sense of like FOMO from time to time where I'm like, I want them to take me on the road. Like sometimes I'm scared. I'm like, what if they don't want to take me on the road because I'm a girl? Like that'll pass through my head. And I'm like, people like doing projects with you. They like doing this. But I just feel like because sometimes it can be such a boys' club.
And it's harder too for me at least. Like I go to shows, guys are the majority of like comics and also I would say audience members in a comedy club.
I don't know if that's true. I've seen a lot of women.
There's been I don't know, it goes back and forth. But when it's a lot of guys, it is really hard for me. If everybody's just dudes, I'm like, fuck. Because I have to work harder to like connect, it feels. And then I'll see another guy who's like just doing whatever, but because he's like one of the bros, like everybody's like laughing their asses off, and I'm like, I don't think this is that funny. Maybe that's on me, but like it just seems it's easier to relate, you know?
I mean, I was telling Jay I get really frustrated when I feel like a guy is being very misogynistic up there. And I'm like, I feel like they're just saying how they feel. People are like, oh, he's joking. And I'm like, no, I think he means it. Like,
yeah, there's truth in comedy.
Yeah, and so I get really perturbed at times with comics.
And then people treat you different and you have to stand up for yourself weirdly. Like, why am I having to do that?
And intensely.
But like, yeah, there was a guy
today that like hit on me at my mic and I was like, you're done. Like I just had to send him off the stage because I was like...
So he paid money to go on stage and then at the start of his set, he immediately said, I have a crush on the host and she kicks him off without him doing any time. But the point, like you have to.
The point is, I have to, even if, let's say, because then one of his friends who's friends with me, that I respect and love a lot, he was like, hey, he talked to me, he's really sorry, he didn't mean to do that. That was like his third time doing comedy. Because I also had seen him go, and he was like, he was just trying to be funny. And I was so angry at the time, I was like, listen, we can have this conversation later. I was like, I can't talk to you right now. Which also I'm proud of myself for, because normally I'd be like, but yeah, I was like, you should just know better. Like, I'm tired of having to do that. I was like, this happens all the time. Like, with I hate feeling like I'm a comic and I'm also, like, training dogs. I'm like, okay, no, you can't do that. Like, I'm like, why am I still in, like, teacher mode where I'm like, nope, that's not okay. So it's very frustrating. You're with grown men that don't know how to act. And it really pisses me off because I'm like, that, it's like,
and then if
one does it, then I have to kick him out because then if there's other weirdos, they're gonna be like, oh, now that guy said that to her, I can talk to her like this, or I can be creepy, or like, and then when in my mind I'm like, if you're gonna say shit like that, I don't know what you're gonna do. Like, you might try to touch me, it might escalate, because that's like what happened to me in Austin.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have these boundaries and then I got raped. So that's what happens when you
I know, guys will come up to me and they'll be like, so how are the tits coming? And I'm like, what the fuck?
Like, you can't just say that.
You would say that to your like niece. Like that's crazy to go up to some. I don't even know you.
Well, that was like when I told like Leo said there was a female comic. This guy was like hitting on at a mic, and Leo was like, "Dude, stop! You're being weird." And Leo was like, "It was like the first time I got it because he saw it happening, and he was like." You would not talk to a male comic like that either. Like ask about their sex life or something. Like the male comics would be angry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's
like
weird.
If you hit on a male comic like that, it would be weird too.
When it gets gay,
they get so pissed.
Upset. Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, then
don't get gay with me.
Yeah. I'm like, don't. It also made me angry today because. A lot of the time, it sucks that I have to do this, but before I get off the stage, I'm like, don't be weird. If there's a lady in the room, just don't talk to her. And I was like, don't talk to me when you're up here. I just started saying that, and then it's like, he even saw, I was like, okay, bye.
Yeah, because people are here to do comedy. I mean, that's not even that true all the time, and it kind of hurts to say it, but some ladies do milk being a woman, where they're like, oh, I'm here, hey boys, whatever, and that's annoying. But if a woman is there, male comics will talk to her, which blows my mind because I'm like...
On stage.
Off stage. Like, if I'm at an open mic as a man and I don't know anybody, nobody's talking to me. Because I'm just a weirdo who's just there to do comedy. Nobody's thinking about me, nobody cares. But if I'm a girl, people suddenly show up. And they are suddenly like asking like what's your name, like how long have you been doing comedy, and it's like, why are you talking to someone you don't know? They're just trying to focus on their set. Like it's just a completely different reaction.
It's like people sometimes are like, why are you so severe? And I'm like, I have to be,
because like I'm just being nice.
That's the thing, though. It's really annoying. Like, even this new guy that he did that to me today, I was like, I was a little nicer to him. Because normally I'm like, don't talk. Like, I'll be like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I'm really severe. But I was like, I'm trying this year to be a little nicer. And I feel like when I am nicer, because then a few months ago, too, there was a guy that I was, like, a little bit nicer to. And then he, like, asked me out. And I was like, no. What are you doing? Also, it felt disrespectful because I was, like, going through a breakup it was, like, in the beginning. And I was like, why are you? I was like, first of all, available? This is predatory. Second of all, I'm just going through a breakup. It's like, fucking leave me alone. Also, like, if you know me at all, you're like, if you want to get to my heart, just ignore me. Like, do not talk to me for months. And then we will become friends at some point.
That's how we became friends.
Yeah, we just...
Back when I was a boy.
Yeah, I didn't talk I don't like... talking to people. I don't like people close to me. I don't like people touching me. So I'm like...
That's why I don't get it. Like, if I don't know people, I'm not talking to them.
No, it's weird. You can't just, like... I get really irritated, too, when someone... This might sound mean as hell, but I don't care. When someone's like, I want to make friends. I'm like, to make friends, you can't, like, force yourself upon people. Like, let them come to you. I don't like... When I've made friends, it's, like, very organic.
Yeah.
It's like it came together over months, if not years, honestly. Like, I've known... Like, one of my comic friends next week, he's coming over for, like, coffee. But I've known this guy for 2 years. And I've never had him over. And then like, anytime we've talked, I'm like, okay, this has been fun. And he's coming. And I was like, cool. Alberto.
Oh... Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you guys knew each other.
I love him. I don't know. Anytime we talk, I'm like, I feel good.
He's cool. I feel that way about people because I, also, when you're in the comedy scene just to do comedy, like, I'm not here to make friends. I would like it, but I understand, like, I'm not good starting out, so let me focus on that. And then I'll make friends as I go.
That's exactly that's why it was weird. I was talking to another comic today, and I was telling him, I come from real jobs. Like, I had real jobs before stand-up, and then I was a teacher, and then it was like, okay, you have, like, supervisors, or, like, the principal, or guidance counselor, like, And the way you're talking to people, you're very professional, or at least you should be. And it's really like, you know, like I'm not telling them about my personal life. And like, it's weird because sometimes I feel like bookers want you to be like friends with them. And it's hard for me because I'm like, no, we're professional.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because like so one of my other friends was like, to get into this club, you should be friendly with this booker. And I was like, that's so weird. He was like, no, just chum it up with him more. And I was like, no. You can just book me because it's like your job is to book the talent.
Yeah.
Like, not to be your friend. Like, yeah, maybe over time we will be friendly, but like,
why is that? Yeah, that shouldn't.
It shouldn't be like that. I don't think.
It is like show business, so people are gonna show favoritism or whatever for their friends, and yes, like nepotism or whatever. That happens, but...
What is that word?
Isn't nepotism if it's your family you show preference to?
We have the internet. What is nepotism?
Favoring relatives, friends, or associates. Okay.
So it's
more general. Yeah. So yeah, like favoring people not based on their work.
Talent, okay.
Yeah. It's just...
I mean, that happens everywhere.
Yeah. So it's gonna be like that, but that shouldn't be like, oh, this is how you get in, so do it. Like, what? Like, that's just depressing to me. Because I work... If I'm gonna do something, I'm working really hard at it, so I can get good.
I mean, I think it is, like...
You have to be
fair.
friendly.
I am friendly. I mean, but I really don't do the hang, and I get booked a lot, so I guess... I think in New York, it is like, if you're talented, you will get booked.
New York, yeah. In LA, it is more like...
Oh, it's all nepotism.
Oh, you have followers?
Yeah. But...
That's why I moved. Because they were like... I was like, where are the jokes?
Dude, they don't write jokes. I could not be out
there. There's some talent over there, but it's like...
There is, but it's mostly at the Comedy Store.
Everybody's just stoned. Yeah, the Comedy
Store. A lot of weed. I mean, I was getting high out there. I was like close to relapsing out there because I got high so much.
They smoke so much over there. I was smoking weed. Could you imagine?
No, that's what I'm saying. I was getting high like every day, multiple times a day.
Everybody does it over there.
Because I was like... And then it's... The thing about LA is it's so easy to get high because it's so chill. And then you're just going to the beach and you're...
And that's how you make friends there. So you just get stoned.
But then in New York, you get high. It was funny because I brought weed back. And... I'm just kidding, TSA. I don't even know if it's illegal. But I like brought it back and then I had some and then it like ruined my night because I was like I took it at the stand. I talk about it like it's heroin. Like I clearly don't do weed that much. Do weed?
Do weed?
Yeah, like we don't know. Shooting up weed.
Yeah.
And
however people do
whatever
it.
they snort it. Like doing it all wrong. But I like went out.
If
you're high in New York City, it's not nice. It was like a cloudy night. There's like shit happening all over. The anxiety was insane.
Because in LA, it's very chill.
There's like, you know,
and then in New York, there's an undercurrent of anxiety that is just part of the environment.
It's awful.
I took mushrooms alone. And I got on a subway. That was a mistake.
That's so cute.
I was in hell. But there's just like, you shouldn't be in New York taking that kind of drugs.
Mushrooms want you to be in like nature too. You did the worst thing. You like got on a metal car underground.
With
like,
homeless people screaming. It was...
That sounds horrific.
It was the worst. And I was like... actively like trying to hold myself, like calm myself down. But like I feel like weed is kind of like that, where you want to make sure your environment is like pretty peaceful because it will affect your experience. Weed
can be fun, but the only times I've had fun was like I was ready to do it. Like I was like chill, I was with somebody I loved, like it. And I was like, I'm gonna
inside. at home, laying down, watching a comedy special.
Something, yeah.
It's fun.
And just a little bit.
And then mushrooms is fun, like
outside with
friends.
your friends, like close friends.
Yeah. And you're like, yay.
Like that time we took it at Fairway.
Oh my god.
That was a disaster, actually. Yeah.
I was just standing there, like, sad.
Yeah, we had to find you.
I was like a little kid.
Yeah, you were. Jay got lost at a supermarket and we took mushrooms.
That supermarket is so confusing.
That supermarket is hell. Fairway? Fuck Fairway, dude.
We fuck Fairway. We steal from there because we hate them.
No, we don't! Jay.
But we were looking for the minced garlic for like 15 minutes.
And it felt like an hour because we were on drugs.
It was they're like, I'm like, where's the pizza dough?
They have no idea what's going on.
And the people who work there, like, I don't know, it could be here or here. It's in both places. And then also neither. Like, it's
horrible.
Crazy how they order it. I don't know.
I don't think they know.
Everything's everywhere.
Do you remember when I went behind the counter? I needed a birthday cake, and I just went.
Yeah, there was nobody
and,
there.
Packaged it myself.
Yeah, we were working behind.
And they were like, "Next time, make sure you ask somebody." I was like, "Who? Who was there? There was no one."
I was stranded. No support.
We're at our hour.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, we can wrap it up.
This episode was about
a lot of stuff. Where can they find you, SB?
They can find me everywhere at SB Riva de Nera. Also, I've been shadow banned. Hopefully by the time this comes out, I have to stop posting about violence.
So what do you post about to get unshadow banned?
That's the thing, I'm not sure. I think one of my friends was like, you just have to wait a few weeks, but literally, it's annoying too because my name is so long, so unless you type in my full name perfectly, you can't find me.
So what's your...
So I will tell you guys, it's at SB Riva de Nera, ESPIRIVADENEIRA.
11 letters?
It's a lot. I wish I could just have SB, but some asshole has it already.
Damn.
I know.
Mine is @_JAYELLIOT. Jay Elliott.
Oh, yeah.
And we're on Instagram.
Instagram.
Alright, check us out. And I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good night.
Love you guys.
Bye.